year?
Yeah.
Well, year and a half. And we love this brother and his family. And anyway, so we had one of our services. I looked out and I saw Lindsay with his hands out praying, and I didn't know what was going on because I did not know Lindsay had a medical issue in his life, okay? And not until afterwards. And I want you just to tell your story about what happened. Would you do that?
Thank you. First off, thanks for calling me up. The only day in a year I wear shorts and a t-shirt. Your testimony, so I appreciate that. I got struck about 6 weeks ago with a situation that was very unusual for me. I'm the type of person that is very active, like a lot of us here in Orange County, and basically I woke up with a terrible pain in my back. And I really didn't know what it was at the time, and a couple weeks goes by, and it just got worse and worse, and you know, we all like to self-diagnose ourselves. And I'm just thinking it's a muscle tear, you know, some kind of strain or whatever. And basically, after about 2-3 weeks of this, I went to my doctor and I asked to have an MRI. And at that point, they found out that I had a pretty extreme bulging disc in the middle of my thoracic, which is right in the middle of your back, which is very unusual to have, first off. And they basically figured that it was degenerative. So at that point, I got even worse because found out that I was fairly mentally weak when it came to that stuff, because I had not dealt with it. You know, I've seen my wife deal with birth and all this stuff, and I'm like, honey, get over it. But, you know, when it happens to you, it's a different story. And, you know, my whole life, I had never really had something like this happen to me. And at that point, it was very, very difficult. I started taking some pain medication, which was altering my personality, trying to go to work, couldn't sit. It was pretty awful, but even worse than that, you know, my whole friend network was really golfing and biking and exercising and swimming, and you know, that's all gone, and you're basically sitting there and it's just you. And at that point, being a religious person, but really, you know, like a lot of us, I think we believe in Christ, but you know, we really you got to be tested sometimes, you know. And this was my test. And on Friday, when we were having the reunion, I was really in bad shape, but I really wanted to hear Bill Weiss and his story. So I came to Influence basically hobbling in, and a couple of my friends, Doug looked at me, and he even said the other day, he said, "You didn't look right, man." So I sat down and listened to, it was really an outstanding story with Bill Weiss. And then Jared, who doesn't love Jared, you know, unbelievable. He calls everybody up for healing. And at that point, I'm kind of reluctant. First of all, I didn't want to get out of my chair. But I said, you know, I'm really gonna do this. So I went up, and I've never really had this happen. You know, you pray for healing, but for me, I've never really experienced anything like this. But basically, I stood there. There was probably 200 or 300 people up here, and a lot of them were way worse than me. So that even alone, I was like, wow, what am I complaining about? So I stood there, and when Jared said, "Be healed," everybody be healed, I felt a crack in my back, right in the middle section. I was like, wow, what was that? That can't be real. So I started feeling a little relief, and then the next time he came by, I was a little nervous. He was messing everybody's hair up. So he grabbed my head, he's doing all this, and you know, my hair's messed up, and I'm thinking more about my hair, and he says, "Be healed," and crack, crack, two pops.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, is that for real? So I'm standing there, and Phil asked who's been healed, and I raised my hand and came up and talked about it. And you know, basically since then, I've been walking. I'm off the pain meds. I'm not 100% there. I'm 90% there, which we can live with. And more than anything, it's just brought me closer to Christ, you know. For the first time ever, I've taken the next step, and it's really through this pain and suffering that this has happened. So I want to thank Jared, and what a wonderful church. I want to thank you guys. Can I give you a hug?
Thanks, brother.